So thank you everyone for joining for the last, Hug event of this year of 2021. Today we are going to talk about, the marketing and sales journeys of various organizations. Something we've done a couple of times in the past. Not just share what we are learning and not just share what new, features are there in HubSpot, but also how our organizations using it. Right. So that's what we are here to discuss today. And please welcome, my fellow panelists today, Mr. Praveen Agarwal, CFO of DHI, Mr. Nikesh, yeah, Mr. Nikesh from WorkX, Aditi from Harappa Education, and Ankur, who's from Foyer. So, guys, maybe just a quick line of introduction from all of you, and then we can, get into some questions. Maybe Aditi, you can go first. Ladies first.
Sure. Thank you. Aditi, first, that's my name. I'm Senior Manager of Learner Insights at Harappa, which is a nice way of saying I'm a data wrangler for our B2B business. And just a very quick line about Harappa is that we're a social cognitive workplace training or workforce training company. And with HubSpot, this is our second year with HubSpot, and we've had a chance to use all three hubs and hopefully Operations Hub in the near future. Marketing, of course, is our biggest usage, followed by sales, followed by service, like with everybody else. Yeah, that's a quick intro.
Thanks. Thanks, Aditi. Praveen sir, why don't you go next?
Thank you, Nab. Myself, Praveen Agarwal. I'm working with DHI International as a CFO. So DHI is basically a hair transplant company, global hair transplant company operating in India and around 17, 18 countries globally, except Europe and US. And we have around more than 40 clinics globally. So we implemented HubSpot this year only in June 21. And currently we are using sales, marketing, and CRM tools of HubSpot, which is running extremely well. And we can see our marketing conversions have increased a lot post implementation of HubSpot, which was a very pain area for us earlier. So that's it.
Sure. Ankur, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Ankur Garg and I'm a co-founder and I lead the global sales for Foyer. Foyer is basically, we have a SaaS-based interior design platform, right? It's an online interior design platform for architects and interior designers. And we kind of focus all around the globe. North America, UK being our primary markets, and then we have the APAC regions, and people subscribe from anywhere and everywhere. And at a time, so typically we were dealing with say around 6,000. We have a free kind of a 2 weeks free trial that we started with, so almost like 6,000 to 7,000 designers across take trials every month, and we have more than 3,000 plus active subscribers, and with growing at that same rate for 200 to 250 per month that we keep adding. Yeah, so our main reasons for going for this is, so we like in mainly in 2020 was the period that we grew our complete SaaS business globally, and we were running quite a lot of processes manually that time, including the marketing was using multiple tools and dashboards to track their stuff, right? Sales was doing multiple different cadences were being tracked all manually and things like that. And towards the last quarter of 2020 was the time when we were looking at, we were planning a growth that time. And we thought that we need to some robust tools to help us with our next phase of journey. And that's how we identified HubSpot and yes, implemented it sometime in Jan 21. So it's going to be a year now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Nitesh?
Yeah, hi. So guys, my name is Nitesh and I work as a marketing head and the company name is WorkX, and what we do is basically we are a online workforce platform, and it basically captures the whole transaction of workforce hiring to workforce management to workforce payouts, and it runs on a basically verticalized SaaS marketplace model. It's a verticalized SaaS model, and we have been using HubSpot since June, and we use almost everything starting from sales, marketing, and then your service, and then ops tech. We just don't. We have not started using CMS, but we plan to use it in the coming months. Yeah, we were actually using Excel and everything before this, and which was basically the major caveat in terms of scaling the whole sales and building the pipeline. And that's what we have been able to build with HubSpot successfully. So that is one.
Great, thanks everyone. Thanks for sharing how you started or what tools you're using on HubSpot. So let us talk about mostly around what was your journey around being around HubSpot. So talk a little bit about your let's talk a little bit about your automation journey. How did you decide, first of all, that you need to go with HubSpot, or even marketing automation, that you need marketing or sales automation? How did you decide about this? Anyone can go. Maybe Nitesh, you are unmuted.
Right. So the choice for automation switch was very easy, and because we were using Excel, and it requires basically complex methods or any automatic logic to be written. However, in case of HubSpot, it was very easy to do because it was just drag and drop with all the possible conditions that you can put in a flowchart, right? And in terms of challenges in the same adoption, it was basically a new tool, and it definitely took us some time. And people took some time to understand it, and then basically there was some inertia of why we should use it, and the older system was much better, and all of that issues were there. Another case why we actually adopted HubSpot was that there was no central data for multiple clients, and now here everybody will be able to read it in the same place. So that was the major driving factor for us to switch to automation.
Okay, I have a question around that, but I'll just come to that in a bit. Let's hear from others first.
Okay, so I'll just go next. Yeah, so for us, like I think marketing team was the first one who had identified HubSpot, but they didn't have the budget, right? So they didn't get the budget sanction. So now, so after that, basically the sales team started looking at it when we were scaling, because the sales is the first thing that we scale there and we get the revenues, right? So then we got the budgets in, and then finally that's how we kind of decided that we'll go for both, say, a marketing hub and the sales hub initially. Of course, the problems that the marketing team was planning to solve is, mainly around the tracking and the dashboards, right? The reporting part of it, and especially tracking the user journey across the different on the websites, right? Across the different folds there, and even on multiple domains, right? So there's some exchange of a customer that takes place between from a website to when they click on a free trial, they go to our own domain, right? So basically they were transposing across 3 domains. So all that journey needs to be captured. So it was very difficult for any other kind of a tools to capture that. But I think HubSpot solved that beautifully for them. And that's why they were very kind of excited to go for this automation there. And even from the page side of things, you can connect to the Google and the Facebook accounts, and then you were getting a lot of insights related to decision making, which of the channels are performing well, right? What are the keywords which are performing well? So a lot of insights started coming, which was possible, but a lot of manual effort was required to take the data out earlier, right? So that was the main thing why the marketing kind of was pushing for that. Sales been leading, so I knew completely what kind of a thing, like, so we were using 3-4 different tools that time, including of course Excel for their favorite of everyone, but phone burner calling. So so we had a Zoho CRM to a phone burner. So each of the agent had to manually export their leads every day, import onto the phone burner for calling. Phone burner had a very good calling software. It's a beautifully built calling app basically. So, but all that manual, and then bringing it back again at the end of the day, importing back into Zoho with all the statuses and all that. So that used to be taking a lot of time. Then you had, you want to send out SMSs, so there's another tool which has to do that. So all these were disjointed, right? So we were looking at, and plus then we had a few, like as we were expanding the teams, we wanted to maintain certain cadences around the sales, right? So based on a user profile, based on their usage of the product, certain cadences had to be followed. So it was getting very difficult to manage those manually and ensure that everyone is kind of on the same level there. So we were certainly looking for a workflow automation as a major thing, and we were evaluating multiple tools, and then kind of we found the HubSpot part of it, and of course we had a quite a reassuring things from the HubSpot team, because going for such a big change itself is a kind of it's difficult to go for there. But I think the entire HubSpot team was very reassuring in that way, and then they introduced us to Nisquay as well as their onboarding partners in India. Then we had a call with them, and that's finally then we started we took the decision that yes, we'll go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so I have questions for all of you. I think it will be the same question, but let's first hear from everyone. Okay.
I could go next. So, I mean, kind of like a +1 to both Nitesh and Ankur on this. We got onto HubSpot, or we approached HubSpot as an option for us because we wanted to have a centralized data system. And we started off with our emails first, our marketing hub element first, followed by service hub, followed by sales hub. And echoing a lot of the sentiments, like we really wanted to have some standard cadences, standard processes automated to a large extent. One sort of key element that helped us decide to go with HubSpot versus any other partner was the level of sort of customization you could do for user access. Especially with learning, we have a lot of personal data around across 58,000 learners plus now at Harappa, and we wanted to make sure we were GDPR compliant from everything across all of our channels of support, across all of our sales conversations, of course, all of the emails that we send out to them as well. And so having that level of user access really helped us sort of cinch the decision. And yeah, that's where we are right now.
That's very interesting. You said Sales Hub was your last when you started.
We were in the funnel. We were at the stage where we were focusing on renewals with a lot of the partnerships that we have. People were already in the Harappa ecosystem, and because learning works a slightly longer time period than, let's say, a SaaS business, which would be constant use. So it does take our customers a good 3-4 months to come back. And so we really solved for that use case first. And when we realized how successful it was, and we saw our NPS rating go up, we saw our CSAT rating go up, we saw that it was a good option for the entire funnel, sort of the entire flywheel, instead of just one section of it.
Okay, that makes sense. So I mean, yeah, in your business process itself, it fit in that manner.
Yeah, onboarded, it fit better in that manner.
Okay, great. Yes, sir. Praveen, sir.
Yeah, so basically our journey with HubSpot was a bit unique actually. See, we are an 11-year-old healthcare company presence in India and globally. So we were using our in-house developed CRM, which was developed in 2012, and we were keep on using the same CRM. So for different needs, like for CRM, we were using our internal in-house. For billing, we are using a different application. For HRM is different. For marketing, we were using different tools. So each and every application was separate, standalone, and everybody was pulling the data from one application and making a consolidated spreadsheet reports. And unfortunately, none of them was interacting with each and everyone. So we started looking at some CRM solution, not a marketing solution. So we came across about HubSpot, and we initially rejected it, saying that it's a only marketing tool, so we don't want to use it. So we look at it, 3-4 solutions available for healthcare industry, which might suit to our requirement. Even after spending 3-4 months while analyzing various available applications, we couldn't find any application which suits to our requirement actually. So then again, somebody referred us to HubSpot, and we did a detailed call with HubSpot Singapore team, and we came to know that it's not a marketing tool only. It has CRM capabilities, and it's not about marketing and CRM. The biggest thing which I liked about HubSpot is it's very open-ended in terms of interacting with other applications. The biggest part is they are open to share APIs and integrate with n number of applications available in the market. Obviously, I mean, all the marketing tools, be it Google, Facebook, and whatever that is available since the day one. But even like for billing solutions, I mean, company do have may have different billing solutions and accounting solutions like Tally. So the good part about HubSpot, which I like most, is this is a one-stop solution which might integrate it with your any other application. So you got a complete funnel, you got a complete client journey, beginning from lead till sales till even accounting actually. So in that way, we finalized HubSpot, and so now I can say after implementation, I mean, it took us around 3-4 months to get it implemented, because obviously integration takes time. Sometimes some integrations was already available with HubSpot. Some integration, even Nisbe and HubSpot team did it for us. I mean, first time, like we were using a Convoke calling application, which is a very localized solution. So they worked hard and do integration in the with the help of Convoke, and now every system is very well integrated. Every dashboards are automated, and I'm surprised to know after implementing HubSpot that within the same spend on marketing, our lead flow increased by 25%. So that was a kind of leakages that was there in the system. We were not aware about it, that kind of leakages is there in the system, in manual intervention and uploading the lead on CRM. So in that way, in terms of flexibility, easy to use, easy to robust, and another aspect is HubSpot provide an infinite opportunity of customization. Because for my organization's need, we had to do a lot of customization as well. So that software, that application provides you enough scope for customization as per your need. So we got this HubSpot fully customized as per our need, and now it's fully functional, and we're having a great results in terms of marketing conversions and ROI and automation and reporting and everything.
Yeah, that I can confirm that the customizations that have gone into DHI's implementation are far more than we have done
I'll suggest everyone, I mean, don't scared about asking about your need. I mean,
yeah.
The basic thing is, whenever you are implementing any application, be upfront, be open for any customization. I know sometimes people do hesitation talking about the customization.
Yeah.
Fortunately, this application has a enough flexibility for customization. So I irritated quite a lot. I mean, many a times for do customization, and touchwood, most of them I got it. There are some workarounds, obviously, even though even the SAP and Oracle can't provide every customization. So that happens. I mean, for that we need to see workarounds, but we have done a lot of customization as per our need, and that's working very well actually.
Yeah, I think probably because you are a CFO, you had visibility of all the departments, so you could think of the entire thing rather than marketing will only think about their own use case.
See, actually, that was again a great story. It was by accident actually. I'm not a technocrat. I'm a typical finance background guy. So when we were taking a decision to implement to onboard on HubSpot, so we were within the management team, we were discussing who gonna take this responsibility actually. So I mean, obviously, it's a marketing software. It's a marketing tool. So marketing should have been there. But in our case, it is not confined to marketing only. It was for marketing. It was for CRM, everything. So I think, I mean, it is better to give lead for this kind of project to someone who knows the business well instead of technology, and who has the capability to manage the change. Because I know I have seen a pain wherein I was having so much resistance within the organization when it was getting implemented. So somebody who can take calls, who can handle the resistance, and who knows the business well can lead this project very well actually. Be it a CFO, be it a marketing head, or maybe IT head, whosoever.
Yeah,
business understanding is must, and it's a key for successful implementation now.
Yeah.
I mean, HubSpot or maybe any other tool.
So one of the things I think at least three of you brought up, which is that the resistance to change and inertia that is there in the teams. So how did how did you cross that inertia? How did you convince your teams to, okay, shift to a new platform? Who wants to go first? Aditi?
Sure. So, I mean, it was kind of different for us with each hub. With the marketing hub, it was fairly easy because we were using a distributed set of tools before, and just the fact that we moved to something that was a centralized data repository convinced everyone. And because we got to use the HubSpot Academy, we had somebody from HubSpot Singapore office onboard us as well. So that worked out in terms of the marketing hub. With sales and service, yes, it took us a little time. Inertia is the perfect term for it. I think what worked for us there was we kind of duplicated the academy model internally. So extremely contextualized to how Harappa uses HubSpot and for the different needs that we have. We had, used random tools to just create similar videos, somebody talking through exactly how it would work. And also because we started using HubSpot while everybody was remote. So that helped us really pave the path. And we still use those sort of recordings today.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, we were not lucky enough like Aditi actually. So in my organization, that was a lot of resistance in terms of impact of the business while the migration will happen. A lot of things I faced while implementing HubSpot. So basically, everybody has to strategize as per your organization, the available resource to handle this kind of change. So initially, we decided to implement all the modules in one go. But the moment as we were nearing about implementation, so then I decided it's not possible to implement in one go without hampering the business. So immediately we changed our strategy in discussion with our internal teams with Nisbay. So we split the overall implementation task into two parts. So in phase one, we implemented partial modules, and in phase two, we decided to move on a secondary stage when the first module is well implemented, bugs are out, and it is fully functional. Then we will decide to move on to the next one. So these kind of calls we have to take while implementing those kind of big application which has a far-reaching impact on your organization.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we'll come to that. You said something. I'll come to that in a bit. What about Nitesh and Ankur? How about you guys? You also, both of you did mention the word inertia or change was difficult. So
yeah. So the thing is, the kind of strategy we have, it's like it's an Indian strategy where basically it's a mix of inside telesales, onboarding, adoption, support, and the service stack. And basically, you always need someone who has an holistic idea about what the business operations are, or like rightly put by Mr. Praveen, right? And they should know like what are the kind of function, I mean, what it requires, what are the functions that require the support, and they should know all the features and what are the use cases, rather than basically just adopting it. You just need to take small steps in terms of adoption, and that's what we did to basically get rid of the inertia. So we started with first basically sales, and then with the service, and then we moved on to the marketing one, and now probably we'll also be moving to the CMS. So that is the whole idea. Have somebody who actually understands the whole business ops, who can guide the whole team towards use cases and take small steps. That's what our thing is.
Okay. And Excel to this was generally a difficult place, right? People get comfortable.
Yeah. So basically, we also have our internal, CRM which we were using, but eventually the data was again not in a single space, and that was the biggest issue. Like if you were to collect data from callers, and then you were to collect data from the platform, and then you collate it, the time gone in the whole process is way too much, and you lose out on the daily KPIs that you need to follow up on, and that's what it basically helps towards.
So you're saying that mostly people saw those challenges and then kind of agreed.
Yeah, because we were facing the same challenges in our internal CRM. right? So we needed somebody who could actually, it has to be very customizable, as Ms. Praveen was saying. It has to be very customizable, and fortunately, HubSpot is, right. So that way we worked around a few things that were not possible. That was the final answer. Ki figure out a workaround, and that's about it. And you have to basically move forward, because the pipeline is there, the tickets are there, everything is waiting.
Yeah, great. Ankur, you also brought up the change.
Yeah, but
element.
means in our case, actually means the change was not that much of a problem, because we already had the buy-in from different teams, right? So during the evaluation, so like I said, the marketing team had themselves evaluated and they were pretty excited about it, right? Sales, the people who from the operations side of it, they evaluated and they were pretty excited. And from the product side, like Praveen mentioned, yes, that was one of our other primary requirements. A lot of APIs and external system integration was there. I think so that now, so all these, the product, the marketing, the sales, were convinced about it. So and like I being the co-founder, I had an business overview of everything, and I was driving this complete project as such, and I'm still driving the HubSpot engagement that way. So I think that way implement means change management was not that aspect. Only thing, yes, how to go about it. That implementation part is of course there. So in our case, we were immediately with the marketing part first, right? It was an easy thing, and while the sales, there were a lot of cadences and everything to be built, so the team had to burn a lot of midnight oils to, and with the NISWE team as well, to understand how to make those workflows. I now test them out before we could take them live. Yes, and meanwhile, so I think the product, so I think it worked beautifully between the product marketing and thing, and over maybe around a month and a half, we could get everything in place and really launch it full flow. Yeah, together. And parallelly, the other thing we did is that we kept the other system live, right? So the marketing was already integrated to Zoho, for the leads kept on flowing in the same way out there. So it didn't disrupt the processes, and it also started flowing into HubSpot. And then on one date, we kind of migrated all the data from Zoho to HubSpot, and then just shut that down and then moved ahead. So yeah, we had a parallel work going on as well.
Yeah, I remember that now that you say it, you kept running the older system till you had completely moved everything to the new system, right? Yeah. So, okay. So, I mean, so one of the things that, that just was brought up was the resources bit. How do you plan your resources around HubSpot? I mean, now that you have a good tool come in, and some elements of, you will take a help of an agency like NISWE, but what are the, in general, what do you see that the skills you need in your team, in a marketing, sales, service team, that to make sure that HubSpot, is being used and, correctly implemented? What do you see there?
So you're talking about post implementation, or you're talking about for implementation?
Okay, that's a good point.
But that's a different strategy then.
Okay, let's talk about both. I mean, for you, Praveen sir, I know post implementation is still not clear. So maybe you can talk about it from right now, and then maybe Aditi and Ankur can talk about from a post implementation standpoint.
No, so I would like to talk about post implementation, because
okay, great.
he is already gone. See, by the way, it's a very easy to use a tool, HubSpot. So as far as our kind of organization is concerned, I don't see any other requirement of hiring a additional resource to run and daily routine maintenance for HubSpot. Frankly speaking, it's just about giving the learning to the requisite people. Let's say we already have a marketing team which was already there before even HubSpot came in. So they are very well equipped about handling HubSpot marketing. So marketing team is handling HubSpot, a marketing bit of HubSpot, and we have one guy, data analyst, who was already there before HubSpot. So he has now been very well equipped with using HubSpot. So he is using data part. So if you'll ask me, frankly speaking, for me, I mean, I don't need to hire any other additional resource for running and maintain HubSpot. Yes, for technical part, for backending, we need an agency like NISWE or somebody else who can do the routine backend kind of job for doing the requisite changes and some kind of integration. So that's it. As far as front end using and basic admin related kind of job is required, it can be done with the existing team. I'm sure not for my organization, for any other organization, actually, without adding any resource for using HubSpot.
Okay. Okay. Let's hear from others. How have they, gone through the journey?
So I could go. Right. So during implementation, of course, somebody who understands the actual business processes that are getting shifted to HubSpot, we also made sure there was product buy-in from our team because we're a sort of technology-based company. So we needed somebody who understood our whole database and how that would, use the REST API sort of database trajectory to speak to HubSpot very well.
Yeah.
That was very important in during the implementation, planning the implementation, pre and during implementation stages. Post implementation, what's worked best for us is to have one sort of ambassador in each of the teams that's using it, that knows it thoroughly. And we've taken advantage of things like the certifications that are there on HubSpot. Of course, the academy groups like this one to keep these ambassadors up to date with their knowledge, and then they become the point of contact for special use cases within their own. And then these ambassadors kind of just speak to each other maybe once a month, just to make sure everything's on the up and up. Yeah, that's the strategy per se.
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. Something we've been talking to some of the companies where after the implementation, people have started, not using, or like, it's not being used heavily, and we're talking about the same thing, having an ambassador. It's pretty important. Yeah. Ankur, how's your journey been?
Yeah, means I feel like I echo with what Praveen said. So usage wise, I think it's quite simple. It simplifies a lot of processes, right? So that really training, onboarding of any new user is pretty simple. You really don't need a specialist or a resource to kind of just cater to that. Yes, but understanding all the capabilities and kind of being part of these groups and learn the learning modules and all. Yes, so the ambassador concept is pretty good there, because what happens is each of us get embroiled in our day-to-day tasks and all, right? And so we just lose that thing that, okay, one time, the first time implementation for little changes, after that, that's fine. As long as it's running, we just let it run like that, right? So what's new coming? How can we make better use of it? I think those are some things that even we need to develop, because right now, like I said, so even like I'm myself running the sales hub and all, I myself handle, even making any new workflows or making those changes. So I quickly do it myself till as of now as well. There. From marketing side also, so although they've identified a few things that they can probably look at, they're looking at like there's an inbuilt SEO there, there's a landing page creator, there's chatbot. So these are the few things that they want to explore, that they have given, they just told me that that's kind of a future roadmap that they want to explore. Yes, so certainly I think it means one person to drive the thing, right? So keep that focus, that's required. So that's my work, whether it's a product, whether it's a marketing team, or whether it's a sales team. We keep kind of, learning new ways about it, what's coming up, learning from different, other audience like this, right? How they have implemented it. It's a good platform to kind of exchange ideas as well. Yes, that's it.
So you're also in Poyer, you are also the one who probably is the ambassador of the tool so far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Good. Yeah. So again, we're looking at an ambassador for each organization. Nitesh, how has it been for you? I know Yashwant has been the one who's been driving a lot of the implementation at WorkX, right?
Correct. So in terms of skill required to build a team, we did not actually have a team for specifically for HubSpot. So it was more like people who were using emails or CRMs. They were being asked to get onboarded, on HubSpot, and one person whom we hired to manage HubSpot is actually not someone who's worked before on HubSpot, but rather we have taken people who had worked on some kind of ticketing and automation, in other similar CRMs like Zendesk, Freshdesk, or Zoho, etc.
Okay.
Right. And before the implementation, definitely Utkarsh was there from the business operations side. And the backend team and the product team was also there to make sure that the transition of data happens correct from the app and the platform to the CRM.
Yeah, so so I mean, just to help for the audience, so Yashwant, who's been driving a lot of these, the day-to-day stuff, is he a technical person? Is he a business person?
No, he comes from the ops, and hence the processes what we were supposed to put in the service stack. So he was there for the same thing, and hence and because he knew the platform well, he contributed toward the sales bit as well.
Okay. So it's a mix. He's a mix of probably all over.
Yeah.
He's the go-to guy. Okay, good. So yeah, so I mean, just to summarize, I mean, we are looking at a ambassador generally in the team who will drive the implementation, and probably going forward also the go-to person within the team who can being referred to all the time. Okay, so that's on the team. Now, any challenges that you went in your journey, especially while implementation, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think the challenges have been there, but I think there's been a support, and plus there's a kind of the success manager from the Singapore team, right, who's been assigned, and you could reach out to them, and plus, of course, once the onboarding part is done, so this way is a little kind of out of the context, and then you have the chat support there, or your success manager on the HubSpot side. And now we have a kind of almost like a kind of a monthly or a bi-month call with them, right? So just to touch base on, they introduce to what's new, what's going on, any problems, where we have not got a response from the support. So we give them the ticket references, and they in turn follow it up internally. So yeah, that's how it's been kind of working with us. Yeah.
I have a bit more of a theoretical point here, right? Because I mean, I think I'm borrowing from Maslow, who said, if you have a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. Once we had the HubSpot tool, we had this sort of tendency to try and force fit all of our processes onto it, especially because we could automate a lot of it. And for us, sort of a theoretical call was to see what was actually a good fit for HubSpot and what needed to stay off it. So one question I always recommend you ask yourself, especially with the automation bit, is it has to be something that's sequential. And there has to be one or maybe two specific correct ways of doing it. If there's a lot of subjectiveness in the process that you're trying to adapt, then don't push for automation. Workarounds, like I think a lot of us referenced, are better for that kind of a scenario. So it was more on that end for us.
Yeah, no, rightly said. Once you, the hammer nail analogy is pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else faced any challenges? Want to share what went wrong, or what could you have done differently maybe? Nice. Okay, so pretty smooth in that case. So how did you also we are running out of time, I just saw. So probably the last question, and then we'll open up for the audience. So what is the impact do you see, once you have this system in place, huge system, we all agree that it's expensive. So how do you, see the impact of the tool now, having used it for some time?
So after implementation, it's pretty good in terms of realigning our marketing in one place, having a robust database. So the positive impacts are in multi-folds. One is consolidating all of our marketing resources in one place, one tool, which is integrated and transformed into the leads, into the funnel, into the sales. So entire sales journey, beginning from leads till sales, is captured in one place. And we all know nowadays data is the key. How we can use the data in different sources for marketing, for remarketing, for awareness, for promotion. So that's a robust tool. And secondly, the application which we were using earlier was most of the application was hosted on a in-house servers. The best part about HubSpot is we don't have to worry about the databases, the servers. Everything is hosted on the cloud. So we don't need any hardcore IT guy to worry about the databases and hosting servers and everything. So that was the easiest part. So in terms of benefits, yes, all of our marketing resources are aligned in one place. We have absolute clarity about the marketing ROIs, which marketing tool is working well for us or not. We know very well with absolute clarity. In terms of reporting, yes, that's very well. But frankly speaking, it's a newly developed application for us. Abhinav knows, so we are in process of building more and more reports. I'm keep on hammering Abhinav, for different kind of reports continuously. Yeah. But yes, the tool provides enough customization in terms of reports. Even the user can themselves create reports in the way and form whatever they want. So in terms of overall, it's a very effective tool in terms of returns, in terms of robust marketing and reporting, everything.
Okay. And you did mention something at the beginning about leads dropping, and now you are able to, the leads, remove that part of leads dropping.
Almost like Nitesh, Ankur, everyone discussed about this point. See, as like in the journey, beginning of the journey in the organization. So we were also, see, nowadays most of the businesses are based on digital marketing as like us. So we were using all kind of marketing tools, be it Google, be it even Just Dial, even a lot of marketing blogs, lot of aggregators, lot of even all the social media, FB, Insta, and leads were coming from all the sources apart from organically from our website itself and on our call center number directly. So in somehow, so every lead are to be consolidated manually, and these were given to the call center team. They were putting in the manually in this CRM and doing the calling for conversion actually. So it's a whole lot of conversion process, and this process, some leads used to come on the email, some leads used to come on the different platform, some are being landed on our marketing page. So in this entire process, somehow lead were getting lost in between actually. Okay. And again, if somebody has created a lead on our website page, maybe there was a time lag. There is a time lag in calling, maybe for 24 hours and sometimes 10 hours and 12 hours. So the gravity of that hot lead is getting lost somewhere. So all these kind of things are now consolidated automatic manner. The moment somebody gives you a missed call, somebody fill up a form on your FB or on your website, everything is within a second is automatically updated and reflecting on the calling application, wherein my executive can call the customer immediately. So that now everything is sorted now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, with multiple tools, obviously that, the sync time, everything just keeps delaying, adding to the delay. And eventually, as we know in sales, you have to call back within 2 hours or you've lost the, hot lead. Right. So yeah. Okay. So what, okay, great. What about, Aditi, I think you've been using the longest. So I just want to hear from you first. How do you, classify impact?
So, I look at it from two perspectives, like impact on our customers themselves and then adoption internally of the tool. So from a customer impact perspective, all of the people who've gotten the chance to, we've had a chance to work with after we've put a lot of this automation into place, do come back to us. Repeat business is higher than it was before we implemented these things. I track things like NPS scores and CSAT scores. And we are 65 on NPS, which is very good for EdTech, 4.5 on CSAT. So a lot of those numbers look really good from the perspective of the customer. A turnaround time for any request that comes in, be it, right at a fresh lead level or at, somebody who's interacting with us or for a support ticket level, all of that works relatively seamlessly. Okay. Compared to what we were trying to do before with multiple tools. From an internal perspective, in terms of adoption, these many sort of ambassadors within different teams, I like to keep a track of how many of them, have conversations with me or maybe directly with our customer success manager from HubSpot on customizing it further for their needs. So that is a very good indicator of they're really thinking about how to make it more efficient, how to make it work for their processes, with just a change or with removal, addition of existing things. So that has been going relatively well as well. That's the view.
Yeah, so all this you said, so as a HubSpot user, I love what you said, but how do you justify this, to your bosses, that, how do you show ROI? Because this is a lot of this is qualitative, right?
Yeah.
So how do you share ROI with your bosses, that why do you need?
So we do have numbers from before HubSpot on things like the turnaround time or things like CSAT.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have that. Okay.
Yeah. And then being able to show a comparison of, okay, it took us maybe a quarter, almost a quarter and a half to go from our previous CSAT to what we have now. And the fact that it's staying steady, then that it's above industry benchmark, that helps keep it flowing. And we're in a good enough place because the customers are coming back, then the budget for it stays as well.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Then it's a easy sell. Okay, good. Thanks, Aditi. Ankur?
Yeah, I think so. For us, like it's helped us to run a tight ship, right? It's more about, how many resources were deployed to kind of previously all those manual processes, and how we are managing now, how easy it is to onboard and, get a new agent up and running, right, on the processes. So on those aspects, yes, I think we have kind of cut at least 50% things, right? From the resources aspect as well, the management effort which is required there, and the uptake time, for making someone live on that. Yes, so that's my, yeah.
Okay, so again, for you also, it's like fairly visible that, what is the impact here, and probably prior to HubSpot versus now what you can, see it. It's pretty apparent. Okay. Good. So, I mean, in that, again, so a lot of times why I'm asking this question is, a lot of times we end up, thinking that, if my sales numbers have not increased, why should I, invest in a tool? But sometimes there are these operational challenges that get solved, which may or may not be, clearly visible as a parameter, but still the tool is solving that for us.
Yeah. So we keep answering those questions to the management, definitely, right, there, because the ROI thing is there. But yes, so means sales is affected by a lot more factors, right? And not just with the kind of tools that you are using. So certain tool it can increase the quality of our output, right? So basically, if the agents have more time, they can indulge in more qualitative discussions with the customers, right? Rather than doing those manual workarounds, right? So, so those are the qualitative aspects, and which kind of we've been able to invest time with them on those, training them on those aspects, but how we can be more. We've implemented like a consultative selling after we've implemented HubSpot, because now we could free up their time, right? So that's why we could implement a new thing in their process. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The time element, yes, definitely there. Good. Great. Nitesh, I know fairly new in the journey, but still, do you have?
So in terms of marketing, we have just got started, but in terms of sales, basically, we were able to predict our pipeline month on month, and between forecast and whatever there is on the pipeline, the progress across deals and what stage they are in, and which we were able to track through properties, and the probability is something we have not experimented, but in the future we will be able to do. We are also now able to track the daily KPIs, as I was mentioning before, of the sales team, about how many calls they have done, and how many proposals are sent out in a month or a week, things like that. And those are the things which we done in sales, and through the sequences, we were able to initiate contact with people which would not have been achieved, without sequences. So that is something that is very important for us, because we work on hot leads, or that it is called in the sales term, right? So yeah, that way it has helped us and impacted.
Okay. Yeah, hot leads. Yes, that's the key element, right? Show me ROI. How
Yes.
close is my sales moving faster or not? Great. I think while I am done with my questions, there may be some audience questions. But even before we move to the audience, I mean, within the panelists, is there any question that you guys want to ask each other, maybe, which through which we can learn? Is there anything?
So I would want to ask if somebody has has gone from funnel to flywheel, uh, and if one can share some of their learnings.
So, I mean, we never had a funnel. I think Harappa, right from our inception, we've been a flywheel concept. It's always been about keeping people in the system, especially because learning as a industry, you need to build what you know before to really make something successful out of it. Yeah, learning specific to sort of transitioning into it or success.
So by flywheel, I meant the one with the delight, right? The user delight. So
Yeah.
so the transition to start with, that is something that I'm looking forward to as an answer.
I think so. What we've seen sometimes, is that customers were not even looking at the delight element earlier. They were just mostly working with other systems when they moved from previous system to this one. They were not looking at the delight element. They were just looking at, okay, how many leads I got, how many did I convert. Those two were the only parameters that a lot of the companies were usually looking at. Now with with the holistic system, and like Nitesh, you said, you have all the elements. People have started looking at, okay, yes, it's not just important how many leads I got and how many of them converted, but how many also are in the delight phase. And like Aditi said, NPS score is a great parameter for for measuring that and ensuring that the delight phase is there and it's taken care of, because that's what gets you retention or referrals at the end of the day, right? And referral business, all of us know, is the best business, right? So I think, yeah, so that's how we've started looking at it for a lot of companies. I don't know if if maybe Ankur has something else, or
Yeah, means not particularly related to HubSpot, but yes, means that's been a focus, when especially when you're in a SaaS business, right? So uh, those small wow moments for the customers, right? How do you delight them? Come on, those small moments, right? How do you delight them at their whatever action they are performing, right? So yes, so I think our product team has been quite investing quite a time there in how we engage with them on the product itself, and recognize those moments or take them towards those moments as well. Build some onboarding flows that make them realize those wow moments, right? So yeah, that's a journey in itself, and that's a developing journey. We know there's no perfect moment, or you can never say that I have perfected a process. It's a continual kind of an improvement kind of methodology based on the TG, the target customer. Sometimes probably you will realize that the customer profile itself changes, right? Where there are 2-3 different personas who are interacting with, then you need to build those things for different personas, right? So that's a continuous journey that you'll have to keep monitoring the personas, what's happening with them, right? And read the data and the properties that are coming back, on HubSpot about each and every lead prospect that's there, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
great. Let's open up, for the audience. I think we're already ahead of time, so just maybe 1 or 2 questions we can take. If there are any from audience. Okay. If you were hiring a deputy for yourself in the sales and marketing automation journey with HubSpot, what skills would you look at? I'm not looking for a job. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What do you guys have to say?
Yeah, I typically look out for a just go ahead, like person who's kind of innovative, right? It's not just about, if I'm hiring someone, it's not about just running a process and stuff, right? You need to kind of look at the process from a whole new angle, and then kind of take being able to take your independent decisions, right? There or independent views about certain things, right? How you can improve, how a thing can be done differently. That's one of the foremost aspects. If I see like someone, like I'll have a confidence in someone who can take over the HubSpot or this complete thing from me, right? I can get you to a person. Like it should not be like, you have given this to me, I'll just run this. No, that's not the behind it, right? You need to look forward to research on your own and things, right? How we can improve. Yeah.
So for us, it has been like someone who can actually build it from scratch and then deploy it and then can measure it and iterate on it. That is something that we have been looking at. And definitely writing copies and communication is something that is very, very important, that we should have somebody who has a knack of it and who understands whether this works as a title or not, whether this works as a field or not, or how things must be put, just so that when somebody's looking at it across the hierarchy, they should understand it, right? So it's about that having that understanding of the business ops and the processes.
Yeah,
Just-
I think a lot of people don't look at communication. I think very well said, Nitesh. Yeah, communication is pretty important. Yeah. Yeah, Aditi, sorry. Yeah.
Specific to sort of the implementation stage, somebody who understands what the different technology terms mean doesn't hurt. So that helps you as a company or a client to HubSpot communicate your need more accurately rather than going back and forth on it multiple times. So that definitely helps for the implementation stage specifically.
So you would say like somebody who's come from a tech background or just understands tech is enough?
Somebody with prior experience with CRM, or like in Harappa's case, it was who had product experience, not necessarily engineering, but
Okay.
product. So just what do API means? What is the different, what are the pros and cons of using different types of libraries? What should be automated? What shouldn't be automated from a data privacy perspective? A lot of those decisions become easier. You just know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not necessarily engineering. Yeah, I can already identify some people in various organizations we have worked with, how they are placed, not necessarily engineers, but they are able to take those calls. Yeah. Yes. Great. Okay, any other question from the audience? Just say, the feedback poll is already there. Okay. But yeah, anybody has any other question, we can still take up while we can answer the feedback.
Hi, Abhinav. This is Sunita.
Yeah, Sunita, go ahead.
Hey, thank you so much for this very interesting session. Lots of learning here. I'm just curious as to how all of you guys are handling the outreach part, like so on social media. What are the tools or what are the automation tools that you're using for social media outreach, like as part of your lead generation or lead nurturing cycle? What are the tools that that is being used, and what is your experience on that?
Sorry, Miss, I'm not well versed with the marketing side of things, exactly the tools. So I'll just skip that question. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no issues.
But yeah, anyone can help out.
Nitesh, Aditi, you guys are from marketing, maybe.
In our case, what we have is a pull-based marketing rather than a push-based marketing. So when it comes to outreach, we don't go for outreach as the product is basically agnostic to users and category, and we don't have to go do the outreach. We are basically dependent on,
You were more with inbound rather than.
definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Similar with us, especially with the B2B side of the business. It's more about ABM, count-based marketing, than it is about general outreach. But in terms of tools, we've really liked Sprout Social, we've liked Content Cal, we also like the sort of inbuilt calendar that HubSpot has in the social section, the marketing hub. And yeah, Hootsuite, TweetDeck, a lot of those just to get messages out, but the actual strategy of it is more ABM than it is outreach.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the tools, Sunita, we've been using sometimes is it's called Expandy. It's again for B2B only, but it helps in automating your outreach on LinkedIn. It's pretty
Okay.
good. Yeah.
What was your experience with Expandy? I read about Expandy also.
Okay.
How has your experience been, especially with the LinkedIn messaging side of it?
Yeah, I mean, so LinkedIn, the good part about LinkedIn messaging is that a lot of people see those messages. They may not respond, but at least you get to know that people have seen those messages.
Okay.
So the delivery rate is good as compared to an SMS, email, or even WhatsApp. We've seen business messages being read on LinkedIn a lot. But although response rate is still pretty low, in India we've seen very low response rate, and in other markets we've seen that people sometimes people will say no, I'm not interested. So we get a
Right.
response, and even though we will it's a negative response, but still at least we get to know. So yeah, I mean, it's been decent. I think far better than any other tool that we have seen, at least for LinkedIn.
Got it.
Yeah, it helps.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Cool. Great. Anybody else has any other question, or else we will wind up for today? Wait a second more. Okay, good. So I think we're already at least 15-17 minutes ahead of time. Sorry about that. And thank you, panelists, for staying back, not being just not running away. So okay, there's some message here. What do we have here? Okay, social media handles. Yeah. You can follow and get connected. Basically, yeah, just mostly to stay updated on when the next events are happening. Feel free to share these with your teams also. It's there in the chat box here, so that they can stay aware what are the events happening. And obviously for this year we are done, so probably next year I think we'll be having around February or March. Generally by February HubSpot announces who the next year Hug leaders are, and so February end or March is when usually we have the first event. Hopefully we'll continue being a Hug leader there. So yeah, so thank you so much panelists for being there, answering all the questions. Thank you audience patiently listening. I am guessing you learned a lot today. So thank you everyone, and we hope to see you next year. Till then, happy HubSpotting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Abhinav. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Abhinav.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Take care.
Nice interacting.
Bye-bye.
Bye.